Superman has always been wrapped in slogans for truth, justice, and the American way, words that once framed him as a patriotic symbol, a myth dressed in red and blue. But in All-Star Superman, those words fall away. He isn't the spokesman of a nation nor the mouthpiece of ideology. He is something quieter and something much greater. He becomes the embodiment of the human way, not the American way nor the Kryptonian way, but the simple, stubborn commitment to care for others, even when it costs you everything. This story begins with an unusual revelation. Superman is dying. His body is poisoned and overloaded with solar radiation from the very sun that gives him life. The source of power that once defined him has become a countdown clock for any hero or even person. This will trigger despair or retreat. But Superman doesn't rage at the injustice of mortality. He doesn't try to outwit the inevitable. Instead, he accepts it. He chooses to live with purpose while he still can. His final days aren't about clinging to survival. They're about how he chooses to live while he still can. Therefore, he doubles down on optimism. Not the shallow kind or the empty reassurance that things would magically be fine. His optimism is heavier and weightier. It's the kind you choose when despair would be an easier option, but you don't go for that. That choice defines every moment of his last days. That's why every action feels like a deliberate gift. He takes Lois Lane on a journey through the skies, giving her the chance to share with him his world for one day. It's more than romance, it's an act of trust, a way of letting her see the world as he sees it, fragile, luminous, and worth saving. And when he faces Solaris, the tyrant sun, he fights not for himself, but for a tomorrow he knows he'll never live to see. And even then, he tries his best to guide Solaris to a brighter path. Sadly, this part is not included in the animated adaptation.
I don't think I have any left.
Optimism here is not naivety, it's discipline, it's resistance, it's the refusal to let darkness dictate the terms of his ending. But optimism alone doesn't define him. What makes this Superman resonate so deeply is his altruism. Even with death closing in, he doesn't use his final days to preserve his legacy or indulge his desires. He uses them to help. He shores up what's broken, builds safeguards for the future, and saves people who may never even know what he did for them. We even get certain quiet scenes in the film where Superman is exhausted and cleaning, his body beginning to fail. It isn't glamorous, no one is watching, but he does it anyway because that's who he is. And though the animated adaptation doesn't include it, the comic gives us what may be the clearest articulation of his ethos. A young girl stands on a building's rooftop, ready to end her own life. Superman doesn't swoop in as a god. He doesn't show up like this messiah or angel that comes to save us from peril. Instead, he just shows up and simply places a hand on the girl's shoulder to reassure her that she is much stronger than what she thinks she is. In that instant, the cape doesn't matter, nor does the strength. What matters is his humanity, the ability to see someone else's pain and to carry it with them. That is the human way. However, the film adaptation doesn't reserve this lesson for Superman alone. It offers it to his greatest enemy, and arguably does it better than the critically acclaimed book it's based on. For decades, Lex Luthor has been defined by opposition. He saw Superman as an intruder, an alien, a tyrant, a barrier to human greatness. But when he briefly gains Superman's powers, everything changes. For the first time, he perceives the world as Superman does, fragile and interconnected, alive in ways words cannot describe. He finally sees everything the way Superman does. He grasps why he helps and saves, despite thinking that Superman makes humans look inferior for the whole story.
Like the gravitational force to the other three. But if he could have seen this, it's so obvious.
Uncle Lex?
The fundamental forces are yoked by consciousness. Everything's connected. Every one. And this is how he sees things all the time. Every day.
I don't know if I should be worried or mortified.
It's a cruel joke. The mechanistic clockwork of reality hinging on a precious, impossible defiance of entropy, on life. And the clockwork doesn't care. It's like it's all just us in here together. We're all we've got.
While the comic depicts Superman punching Lex when he gets that epiphany, the animated movie excels by making Lex Luthor admit his faults and surrender while Superman sacrifices himself into the sun to save Earth.
I could have made everyone see. If it wasn't for you, I could have saved the world.
If it had mattered to you, Luthor, you could have saved the world years ago.
You're right.
Even added an additional scene where in the original comic Superman left for Dr. Leo Quinton the formula to replicate Superman's genetic structure. The film, on the other hand, depicts Lex Luthor, who accepted his fate to be executed, making one final choice by giving Quinton the formula, providing knowledge that could allow humanity to continue what Superman began. It's not redemption in the sweeping cinematic sense. His crimes remain and the punishment stands, but it is a small decisive act of responsibility, a moment of giving where he once only took, and in that gesture the film underlines Superman's greatest belief that even the worst among us can choose, however briefly, to do good and follow the human way.
I also finally figured out how to replicate it.
No.
Of course, it will require an ovum from a healthy human woman.
All-Star Superman reframes the myth. It takes him out of the narrow space of patriotic slogans and places him where he's always belonged. Not above us nor apart from us, but alongside us. Because the legacy he leaves behind isn't about America or Krypton. It's about showing us what we could be if we choose kindness over cruelty, hope over despair, and responsibility over selfishness. And that's the paradox of Superman. The most alien figure in comic books is also the most profoundly human, arguably more than humans that were born on Earth. And the human way isn't easy. It asks us to face suffering and still believe in joy, to give without reward, to see potential in people who might otherwise dismiss. And that's what makes Superman matter. Not because he can fly or because he's invincible, but because he embodies the extraordinary possibility of ordinary humanity. In the end, Superman doesn't leave us with his powers. He leaves us with his faith that we, fragile and flawed as we are, might still choose to be better.